Storm Boris has caused widespread chaos across Italy and Central Europe, bringing devastating floods and forcing thousands to evacuate their homes. Today, we're covering the latest on Storm Boris, which has caused serious flooding in northeastern and central Italy. Over 1,000 people have been forced to evacuate in the Emilia Romagna region, with towns facing significant threats as rivers overflow. This storm is a stark reminder of the growing challenges Europe faces due to climate change, and we'll dive into the latest updates on recovery efforts, the impact on communities, and what experts are saying about the future of extreme weather in our region. Severe weather brought by Storm Boris swept across northeast and central Italy, causing massive flooding and disruptions after sweeping through Central Europe. Over 1,000 people have been evacuated in the Emilia-Romagna region, while significant flooding is reported in towns in Marche. The additional storm strikes amid a mounting list of climatic challenges Europe faces, while showing that extreme weather events are happening with increasing frequency. In Emilia-Romagna, evacuations were ordered in the provinces of Ravenna, Bologna, and Faenza since rivers overflowed. Waters are rising rapidly, forcing citizens to evacuate or be led to higher floors. Over 800 people in Ravenna and almost 200 in Bologna are compelled to move into emergency shelters, schools, and sports centers. According to local officials, worse dangers are still pending as river levels remain perilously high, threatening homes and infrastructure. A difficult night, near the limits of critical levels, is how the situation in the city of Faenza was described as people anxiously watched river levels rise. The mayor of Faenza, Massimo Isola, described the situation as tense, but credited the efforts of preventing floods in the past year with preventing even more disastrous flooding in the center of this city. However, the storm left its mark. At least 2 people are missing in Bagnacavallo, a town in the province of Ravenna, from the storm. The storm affected thousands of people in Emilia-Romagna, as several schools were closed, and landslides left train traffic jammed with many key routes blocked. For example, the public libraries, parks, and some facilities in the city of Ravenna were closed by the authorities, and the University of Bologna canceled its exams and lessons altogether. According to reports from Faenza, its residents were evacuated in dinghies in the middle of the night after overflowing rivers overwhelmed the sewer system of the city to cause further damage. In answering the rising crisis, President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen turned to social media to proclaim a €10 billion aid package coming from the EU to support the countries that are adversely affected. Von der Leyen said after her meeting in Wrocław, Poland, with leaders from Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Austria, extraordinary measures for extraordinary times. The aid, consisting of solidarity and cohesion funds from the EU, will be released immediately to mend damaged infrastructure and help those displaced. The visit of von der Leyen to the flood-stricken areas in southeastern Poland, therefore, served to clearly cement the EU's commitment to help communities to recover from the calamity across the entire continent. Accompanied by regional leaders, she pointed out that the funds would be released promptly and that this aid does not require co-financing, so that the resources get to those communities most in need. This financial assistance is one of the lifelines for regions to rebuild after the calamitous impact of Storm Boris. The storm reached beyond Italy. Austria, Czech Republic, Poland, and Romania were all battered. Here, the storm killed 24 people. Flooding, landslides, and infrastructure were all badly damaged. Emergency crews, soldiers, and even prison inmates were deployed to help in the recovery efforts. In Austria, soldiers and firefighters doused houses to suck out the water and mud as people were removing all furniture debris. Austrian public broadcaster ORF said broad cleanup operations were underway in devastated towns as military personnel were deployed to aid the recovery of the northeast Czech Republic, badly affected by the storm. Rising river levels were also reported in Hungary, although Prime Minister Viktor Orbán said that close to 6,000 professionals, including military personnel and prison inmates, had been mobilized to reinforce flood defenses. The Hungarian government was said to be following the rise in Danube river levels, which poses an increasing threat to communities along its banks. Meanwhile, the towns of Strony Śląski and Ladek Zdrój in Poland were among the hardest-hit regions. Floodwaters nullified basic services. General Michał Kamieniecki, who is the man in charge of coordinating the relief efforts, said the flow of tap water and supply of power has been restored in the flood-hit towns, thanks to the joint efforts of emergency crews and local authorities. It is still uncertain how much storms like Boris are related to climate change. Certainly, not one storm can be laid at the doorstep of climate change, even though scientists have warned for years that a warming planet would mean a host of more frequent and intense weather events. Much of the heavy rainfall and flooding in Central Europe fall into broad categories of how global warming is altering atmospheric conditions. According to the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering and Medicine, global warming has increased the occurrence of extreme weather events, including heavy rain and snowstorms. The Academy said that this is because of a warmer atmosphere leading to more water vapor, feeding extreme storms and resulting in rainfall that is much more extensive than typical seasons during events. Additionally, high sea levels make the effects of storms along the coastline even worse, because inland water pushed by seawater can merge with heavy rains to cause catastrophic flooding. It follows severe weather the region saw more than a year ago. In May 2023, dramatic flooding hit Emilia Romagna after 6 months of rain fell in the course of just over 1.5 days, overwhelming over 20 rivers. The deluge had already left 13 dead, tens of thousands evacuated, and billions of euros in damage. For many residents, the recurrent floods have left anxiety over weather events and the effectiveness of the existing flood defenses looming large for the future. Recovery efforts are underway throughout Italy and across Central Europe. Emergency crews are working to repair damaged infrastructure, support displaced families, and prepare for potential future storms. Quick access to EU funding and local resources has been critical to manage the immediate aftermath of Storm Boris. But the road to full recovery will be long and complex. More resilient flood protection and climate adaptation measures will probably be vital parts of rebuilding the communities, as the communities try to regain their strength after the calamity. More frequently occurring extreme weather incidents and exposure to the impacts of climate conditions push people to be more proactive in preserving vulnerable areas. It is imperative that investment in early warning systems, upgraded drainage infrastructure, and sustainable urban planning and design must reduce the impacts of storms. Storm Boris is a stark reminder of the vulnerable conditions that arise with climate change. The crisis has actually underlined the urgent necessity of international cooperation in an effort to face growing threats of climate-related disasters. In this regard, the commitment displayed by the EU in developing the response plans and with substantial financial support to answer the need for coordinated work that the EU must face in order to respond to the growing challenges of the climate. The moment the hard-hit areas start recovering, lessons learned from Storm Boris will be of utmost importance in shaping the approach Europe will take to manage extreme weather events in the coming years. That's all from our side. If you want to stay updated on the recovery efforts and the ongoing impacts of climate change, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. How can we better prepare for storms like Boris in the future?